Hi, and welcome to this episode of Little Sprout Speech TV. Grab your pen and paper because today we are talking about hearing tests and why I am encouraging you to go have one done if you haven't in the past year. So why am I recommending this? Well, I work with a number of little kiddos, and some of these kiddos are verbal, some are nonverbal, but the bottom line is that we need to make sure that children are hearing us. And if they can't hear us, they're not going to make progress in any of their therapies, really, or even in school. So this is one of the first things that I always encourage parents to rule out is any type of hearing loss or fluid in the middle ears. And I'm going to explain what that means to you, but I'm using this techie term, fluid in the middle ears, because I want you to go to your doctor and tell them that you want, if you need a referral to an audiologist or an ENT, you want to go to them and say, it's because I need to rule out fluid in the middle ears. Now, why would we suspect this? Many kiddos who tend to be really congested year-round, or who even just have really bad allergies. They seem like allergies, but then it kind of lingers for a while after allergy season. Kiddos who have ear infections all the time. It just seems like your child has had, ear infections since they were born. It could be that they've had anywhere between 4 to 6 ear infections a year, or they just may be a congested kiddo. When you're seeing this, that means that things are not draining well. And so that's when you want to go to an ENT that's going to look at the ears, the nose, the throat, and also an audiologist, because they can help you rule out, one, they look at how the child is hearing, how your kiddo's hearing, and they also look at how things are draining. So really important. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons, really. They're tips, but they're also mainly reasons as to why you want to do this and why it's so important today, because I really want to stress to you that this is something that should be done now, especially if you haven't had your kiddos hearing checked in the past year, or if you've just noticed they've been more congested than normal, then it's okay to go back even sooner. So reason number 1, I already said, is because we want to rule out fluid in the ears, in the middle ear. And again, what that means is that things aren't draining. What does that look like for them? We can't see this, but ultimately what's happening for your kiddo is they're not hearing you, or they're hearing things very muffled. I had a kiddo that I was working with, for example, who came back, and we realized that he had so much fluid in there that he wasn't hearing speech normally, and that was the reason why his speech sounded the way it did in our therapy sessions. And so we tailored back on our sessions until we knew he was hearing correctly. So that's just, one example. The next tip is that we want to rule out if tubes are needed. Now these they call them PE tubes, and that's as technical as I'm going to get. But the whole point of these tubes are to help the fluid drain so your child can hear. So it's not a scary thing. It's like an in and out procedure, and it has drastically changed some children's hearing and speech. So another thing you may want to ask, your ENT or audiologist to consider if you do find out that your child has fluid in their ears. And then tip number 3 is that we want to make sure that the therapies they're getting are effective. Not just speech, but OT, PT, everything, because when fluids are in there, it actually throws off balance. It throws off how your child can hear the speech that we're giving them. It throws off a lot of things, and it just makes everything harder for your kiddo. So that would be the reason. I think reason enough, we want to make their life easier to get their hearing checked. So let's review. Number 1, we want to get their hearing tested every year, especially if they're a kiddo who has problems with things with the fluids draining, and they're always congested, or they always have ear infections. Because we want to, number 1, rule out fluid in the ears. Number 2, rule out if they need tubes potentially to help their ears drain better. And number 3, we want to make sure that the therapies they're receiving are effective, and that your kiddo is just happy in general and enjoying those therapies and not feeling like everything's working against them. So that is our episode for today. I hope you guys have a great week. Go get that hearing checked for your kiddo. I look forward to talking to you same place, same time, right here next week. This is Hallie Vulcan signing off.